You're listening to Shoe In, covering the ins and outs of all things footwear, from sneakers to heels, loafers to slippers, and every type of shoe in between. Brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear. And now your footwear insiders, Matt Priest and Andy Holt.
What up, Matt?
What's up, Andy? How are you, buddy?
I'm good, man. How you been?
I'm doing fine.
Woohoo! New year?
Yeah.
New
always,
shoes?
Yep, new decade, man.
Whole new decade?
Whole new decade.
That's like I don't even know. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it.
It snuck up on me, to be honest with you.
I was
Because
just
the last time we went through this, we were heading into, 2010, right? So,
were you thinking Y2K?
Yeah, that's 20 years ago.
It's a little bit different.
It was a lot different.
I was, although I was prepared for Y2K, I was at the Waffle House in case anything happened. I knew that the short order grill would still be serving.
That's smart.
Scattered, smothered, covered, chopped, diced, dopped, whatever
You're
it was.
a smart man, Charlie Brown.
My stomach was not appreciative, but
yeah,
the next day.
But hey, it was the new millennium.
Exactly.
So 20 years ago.
Safety first.
20 years ago. It's crazy.
But now that we're in 2020, whole new year.
Yep.
Just finished 2019, which was a fantastic year for footwear. There was a lot of issues in our country. We'll have more this year with politics.
Yeah, for certain.
Continual disruption, not just in the retail marketplace, but in our politics.
Tariffs, right? The tariffs are, and this will impact our guests as we talk to our guests about it. But
the world, the U.S. had a good economic year. It's forecast to have a pretty good year this year. There's still people that are being left behind.
Yeah, totally.
And we often forget that when we see job reports and the numbers look great and we see help wanted signs posted, but there are communities in our country that aren't seeing that prosperity. And in turn, globally, there are many countries with large communities that are likewise continuing to have struggles, even as we see wealth grow on Wall Street.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And that's why it's important to have someone on the show who's been on the show before who can kind of be that reminder about the need that is out there and how our industry can step up and meet that need on a continuous basis. And that's why Buddy Teaster, who's president and CEO of Soles4Souls, is back on the program with us. Buddy, Happy New Year and welcome to Shoe and Show.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, no problem. So, Buddy, we're entering a new year. We got a lot going on. Soles4Souls has got a lot going on. You've been at the helm for quite some time now, and the trajectory of the organization itself is up, and up. And I'm not just talking about dollars and cents, although that's important to ensure that the organization meets its goals of wiping out poverty and empowering entrepreneurs around the world and delivering shoes to people in need. But it's also it's highly rated by GuideStar and all the different Charity Navigator, all these different charitable organizations that measure nonprofits. And I think, you just keep knocking it out of the park, but there's a lot to be done. And so as we're headed into a new year, Buddy, kind of what's keeping you up at night and what are some of the hot spots out there that you think people should be aware of?
Well, thanks for those kind words. It is a lot of people working hard to make that happen. So it's nice. I've been at Soles4Souls now since 2012, and it's not where it was then. And so to see some of these outside organizations recognize the work and the transparency and the impact is really great, because it makes the people who work at Soles4Souls feel terrific, like the things are going in the right direction. But also the people we work with, whether that's companies in the footwear industry or other NGOs outside the U.S., it's one of the ways that we give them a little more confidence that we're serious about what we do and that our interest is in the impact, not the numbers and the things that you said, which are also important, but that's not really how we measure our success. I think heading into 2020, a lot for us, we have a new tagline, which doesn't sound very exciting, but I think these things have a way of taking on a life of their own. I'm already seeing that happen, and that is, for a long time, our tagline was wearing out poverty. And now we are really moving into, I think, simpler one, which is turning shoes and clothes into opportunity, and really focus on the part of that is opportunity. And how do we do that? How do we do that better? How do we do that in more places? How do we go deeper in the places where we are now? those are the things that really matter because, I mean, to Andy's point, the world, look, in lots of ways, this is the best time ever to be alive, right? We're living longer, and this is everywhere for the most part. We're living longer, we're healthier as we're living longer, and at the same time, there are places off the radar screen where that's not happening. And a lot of times, that's where Souls for Souls, that's where our sort of obligation is to work and to continually confront and engage with people whose lives don't bear much resemblance to ours on the outside. Political instability that makes ours look like a picnic, currency instability, really tough economic situation where no matter how hard you work, you can't get ahead. And so it is a constant and I think beautiful tension for Souls to work in these places, to hear these stories of people who really, really want a different life for themselves and their families. And it's outside of their control in a way. They're working hard, they're doing all the things right, and yet there are still these big macro factors that make it hard. So I think it keeps us humble and honest, hopefully. It allows us to bring their stories to places and to people who might not hear them, and remind all of us that that superficial difference is only superficial. You scratch not very hard, and what you find is parents who want a better life for their kids, who want to be able to go to school and sleep in a safe place at night and have enough to eat. And, you know, at the end of the day, I know both of you are parents. Like, that's what we want for our kids. And
Yep.
So that common humanity layered in with the, man, things are different wherever they might be, I think is what makes Souls for Souls a great place to be.
So talk about some markets. You know, we've had you on the show before. We've talked about places like Transnistria, which most people probably still don't know where that is. But, you know, Honduras, Haiti, these are some of the places that Souls for Souls is doing its good work outside of our borders. Have you opened up any new frontiers, or are you still, you know, doing the Lord's work in these markets? And are you optimistic? What are you seeing right now as it relates to distributing footwear? And also, we'll talk about micro enterprise in a minute, but how are you kind of, you know, viewing these different marketplaces that Souls for Souls has a presence in?
So in some places close to home, like Haiti, it's really tough right now. The political situation there has brought everything almost to a standstill. We had shoes that sat in port for almost 2 months. Our partner there on the micro enterprise side, he's actually come to the U.S. trying to repackage things into smaller amounts so he can get them into the country without the same kind of bureaucracy to go through. So again, people working hard, being creative, but man, the barriers are tough. And for us, we also lead travel programs there. So our partners on the ground who help us lead those trips and serve as our guides and translators, we're not employing them, right? So the ripple effect is not hard to see. So Haiti is still a tough, really tough place. And in January 2020 is 10 years since the earthquake, right? So there's a big milestone coming for that country. It's hard to be optimistic right now, frankly, about Haiti. We were really exploring and excited about Nicaragua about a year and a half ago. And again, political situation there sort of shut that down. So there's some places that are really tough. And yet we're about to launch into Guatemala. We think that's going to be exciting, even though, you know, there's some of the same characteristics there. It's not quite as bad. And really, Matt, the expansion on our micro enterprise side is going to be increasingly into sub-Saharan Africa. Extreme poverty, people living on less than about $2 a day. In most of the world, thank goodness, it is improving. But in sub-Saharan Africa, it's actually getting worse and more concentrated, so that by 2030, 90% of the people living in extreme poverty in the world will be there. So we really got to figure out how to be a part of that. And so micro enterprise will be a part, but also free distribution of shoes and clothes will be a really important part too, because the situation is going to worse increase. So figuring out how to do that in a safe, responsible way is really high on our list.
So, Buddy, let's talk a bit about how people listening can get involved and contribute to those efforts, because, you know, I think there's a lot of people in our industry and a lot of footwear consumers that would love to, you know, do more good around the world, and taking it one step at a time, taking their shoes out of their closet they haven't worn in a while, that are worn out, that they could send in, is one way. What is the multitude of ways in which people can get involved to contribute?
So thank you, Andy. Last year, or this year, Souls for Souls is going to collect about 5 million pairs of shoes. About 2/3 of those are used. And so the most important thing to focus on sustainability and to help clean out our closets, all these things really roll together, is to put your used shoes to a higher use, right? Please, whatever happens, don't throw them away. That's the worst imaginable outcome. But put them into a stream where they're going to extend their life, right? It's a great way to reduce our our environmental impact, but it is a great way to create that opportunity that I just talked about with shoes and clothes. So whether you mail them, we have a program with Zappos where they will pay for the shipping, make that easy. We have lots of drop-off places around the country. We have a staggeringly positive partnership with DSW. You can drop off shoes at any of their locations and get points in their loyalty program. Last 19 months or so with them, their customers have made more than 2 million pairs of shoes going that route. So that's the first place to start. We all have that in our closet. I know a lot of shoe-in listeners are in the footwear industry, and we have lots of great relationships. And finding ways to put the excess inventory, the returns, the seconds, all those things into a use in a way that is a story they want to tell their employees and their customers and their vendors and maybe even Wall Street is increasingly a story that we're finding resonates with companies, especially as they have a younger workforce and their employees are saying, what are we doing here? Are we just doing X? Are we just making shoes? Are we just no? What other kind of impact are we having? And so there's sophisticated ways to do that around making shoes, and you guys have talked a lot about materials and the way that can have a positive impact. But still, I'm stunned at how many shoes get thrown into landfills or get incinerated when they can have a huge impact in other places in the world. So anybody listening to this that thinks, man, we could do more with the product that we have here that we don't use, there's a great story that we can help you tell to the people that matter to you about how you're putting those to use and creating opportunity.
Buddy, I think also like creating something just for like your friends to do. Like I had a birthday party this year and like my friends were coming anyways, but I told them to bring their used shoes. So it's like you can just send them at one time. Like I think the partnership with Zappos and DSW just make it so easy. Like when you come into DSW, it's like one of the first things that you see. And then Zappos getting online and just printing out that prepaid label is super easy. And it's like, it makes it like, cause everybody's not all the way involved. And when you are in the footwear industry, you just send out that mass text to your friend and just say, hey, when you come here, drop them off. We'll take them off your hands. I think that's a great way also to give back for the people in the footwear industry to, start that.
Well, thanks for doing that with your birthday. That is a great example of a way that more and more people are saying, I don't need more stuff. And here's a way to make that very real for people. But also, I think people want to do the right thing in almost every situation. And with used shoes, making it easy to get rid of them is a part of that story. And I think you said, hey, come to my birthday party, we'll take care of it. And people can't wait to show up and make that happen.
Right.
Let me talk about microenterprise because I know we've talked about it before on the show, but I want to always put that out there because there's a lot of misconceptions. People, even if you roll into a church and say, hey, I'm going to collect shoes, and they're not going to be necessarily just given out. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. And people might have kind of a just reaction to it like, oh, really? I thought that I was giving so that it gets given. And the importance of microenterprise, of empowering entrepreneurs. The thought that an entrepreneur, a female entrepreneur in Haiti or a young couple in Transnistria would have access to every Nike that rolls into Foot Locker or every type of shoe that's out there so that they could sell it is just not realistic. And so to take Americans' used shoes and provide avenues for that entrepreneur to sell them to create income at really competitive prices. Don't get us wrong, but we really need to keep educating people on just because you give us your shoes doesn't mean we may give them away, but we may also give them to an entrepreneur who will sell them and build a business and buy a home or buy land or employ other people within that country. And it's just, you're trying to force multiply. And I think it's such a powerful tool, but it's not always appreciated amongst kind of the common folks who are just donating their shoes in these shoe drives and such.
Yeah, Matt, you're right. I mean, it's a constant effort to explain the model and the impact in a way that people get. Instead of being suspicious, they're supportive. And increasingly what we find is when we talk about opportunity, people are interested in what that means. Also, look, a lot of people in the U.S., and even though it's sort of getting kicked around now, capitalism is still the best way we've ever seen to create prosperity and to move people from poverty to out of that. And so when we have the time and people are willing to listen to, here's how we use a system that we all believe in. We look around us in the U.S. and see how it's worked and how it works with whatever flaws it has, it still works. If we want to take that model to a place where there aren't opportunities for real capitalism, it's all about who you know and where you were born, and it's not a free and fair system. And so when we say, look, we stay away from we don't work with governments. We're working right with the entrepreneurs who are selling in local markets, and we believe that they want the same things that we do, and that the value of a dollar earned is higher. It's not the same as the value of one given. It's something that, and we all believe that. We all know that. If we earn it, it matters more to us than it's given. And so the beautiful thing about Souls for Souls is both of those models exist side by side. We give shoes to people in need. That's a really critical part of what we do. I'm going to come back and talk about a new initiative that I hope really drives that home. But we also believe that when people have the chance to do it themselves and it's their hard work and all we're doing is making it easier for them to get the fruits of their labor, that's a win for everybody. And it's sustainable, right? It's the model. Once we get it started in a country, it goes. It works. People understand it as buyers and sellers. It often brings in goods that might not be there otherwise. And we can go back into some of these places where we started 5-6 years ago, and lives are transformed, Matt. I mean, you said it. People have built houses. Their kids are in school. They're eating. They're getting health care. Things are unimaginable and not possible if they were just depending on charity.
Yeah.
So we think both things really together are the magic.
Yeah, I agree. It's not an either or. It's all the above. It's as much as we can empower folks. So you want to talk about an initiative? What's that initiative and how can we be helpful?
I think this is one to the question about how to get involved that I think the footwear industry is going to be excited about. There are more than 1 million kids in the U.S. school system who are homeless. And there are, fortunately, people who are really thinking hard about this problem. They're thinking about housing and nutrition and school supplies. But apparently nobody's really focused on footwear. And as this got, I'm embarrassed to say I didn't really understand that, but now that it's on our radar, we really want to lean into that. So we're beginning 3 pilot programs in early 2020. Nashville, which is where Souls for Souls is based, Columbus and St. Louis. It's about 10 or 12,000 kids altogether. And we're going to have to change everything that we do. Like, we're going to have to figure out how to distribute those kind of shoes. We have to deliver a specific kind. The goal is to give them athletic shoes. So how do we show up for all those kids in the right way at the right time in a way that respects them, that keeps them safe, that allows them to have their dignity, but still gets them a pair of shoes so that they can be in class, they can be in PE, they aren't shamed or harassed or targeted because of what they're wearing on their feet. I'm so excited about this, Matt. I think this is a way for us to bring Souls for Souls focus here in the U.S. even more strongly than it has been. I think it's going to allow all kinds of individuals and companies to get involved in their communities to help solve this problem. And I think it's really going to make a difference. I mean, we talk to teachers and counselors and the school administrators who are leading these programs, and they're like, you have no idea the power of a pair of shoes. I'm like, I do. I believe that. So it's great to think that there's going to be a really specific focus and a measurable, how are we doing against the goal? And I think what I hope, Matt, is that a year from now, 18 months from now, we look back at this conversation and say, that's when we really started to move the needle on helping those kids who are experiencing homelessness in our school system solve one part of the problem.
And that would be National Shoe the World Day on March 15th. Is that right?
That's where we're hoping to kick a lot of it off, Matt. We've got a lot of work to do between now and then to get the shoes and get them in the right place. But we think that's going to be an ideal time to start telling that story. Absolutely.
And that's awesome, buddy, because, again, it goes back to not the either-or proposition. It is micro-enterprise globally. It is distribution globally. It's also distribution here in the U.S. where a majority of our donations come from, obviously. And so to have this new initiative, to Andy's original point as we kicked off, to make sure those left behind, and even in an economy like the one we're in, that they have the opportunity to get these pairs of shoes. One of the things we do at our youth group at our church packs meals for kids at an elementary school every week, so when they go home from school they don't starve, right? Because they rely so much on lunches from school. And I live in one of the richest counties in the country, in Fairfax County, and so we lose sight of the fact that people need food, they need clothes, they need shoes. And I'm so excited, buddy, that you are again taking the lead as the preeminent kind of shoe donation organization in the world, and we can't thank you enough for doing that.
Well, thanks for the chance to talk to you guys. I've always learned listening to you. Thanks for the chance to share some of this message with all of your listeners, and hopefully together we're going to make a real impact on both of these things in the near future.
Cool. Well, with that, I'm going to pitch it over to Jasmine, who's going to drop in with her world-famous fashion, footwear, and focus segment. Jasmine.
Yes. So I've been looking. We do a segment on here that's what you got, what you're getting. And on what you're getting list, I have some like metallic loafers. And I feel like men don't wear loafers like that anymore. I don't know if that's like a popular shoe, but I feel like for women, it's like a popular work shoe. Am I wrong?
Loafers?
Yeah. Like, do you feel like men wear that like when you go to meetings and stuff?
Yeah,
like,
sometimes. Like penny loafers back in the day is what I would wear.
Penny loafer style, like metallic.
Yeah,
right. I feel like you guys
like
don't.
Like a Sperry shoe.
I guess, yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, I feel like Sperry's have like kind of replaced that shoe, but I feel like for women, like the penny loafers are still, and I know women used to wear them before too, but I just feel like they're super popular now. There's like high price points now for them. Like, I think Miu Miu has like $1,000 pair of metallic loafers. So,
buddy, you're normally in running shoes as typically, but do you have a pair of loafers you like to wear?
Dude, I wouldn't wear a pair of loafers on a bet.
So are you always in sneakers, buddy?
He just is a runner.
I'm in running shoes or boots. That's pretty much all I got.
He runs all day.
All day long.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Well, buddy, we can't thank you enough again for being on the program today. What's the website so people who want to help can go to?
Sure, it's Soles4Souls, SOLES, the number 4, SOULS.org.
Awesome. Thanks again, buddy. And with that, folks,
thank you.
We are out, and we are going to encourage you to go to shoeandshow.com. We're also on Twitter. We're on Facebook, I think. I'm not on Facebook. We are on Spotify. So check us out in all those areas. Rate us on iTunes, and make sure you tune in next Monday when the next edition of Shoe and Show comes out. For Andy, Jasmine, and Buddy, this is Matt, and Shoe and Show is out.
Shoe-In has been brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear. For information about FDRA, visit fdra.org.